There we go. Ah, the amazing recording button. Anyway, so I'm going to welcome you all back again so that this is in the recording, and I'm going to start telling you the story. So when you put together any type of event, whether it's a course, a workshop, a master class, whatever that is that requires a number of days of a little bit of effort and a little bit of showing up, you're going to see the numbers drop, right? So for all of us that are on the call that are business owners, we notice that we see that there's a tremendous interest on day one, and then the numbers trickle down. It is normal. And as I was saying, life happens, right? I mean, some people have kids, spouses, jobs, other things to do, priorities, things like that. But the number one thing that you're going to notice is that people don't have the consistency to show up. People say that they're ready for something. People say that they're ready for change. They're willing to do it. They're going to do all it takes, yada, 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 rah, rah. Day 3, day 5, day 7, and they start not showing up. And the reason why I thought of this story is because Myla is on the call. And Fireheart just joined. Hi, Fireheart. And Myla is a great reminder of that for me, because Myla actually took one of my money courses. And I remember that when I brought that money course to this group of ladies, I said, if you're not ready for it, if you're not going to be focused enough, and if you're not going to be consistent enough, don't start. And Myla finished it, and she is a trooper for going up against her own beliefs and her consistency and showing up for herself. So when I saw her come on camera on the call, I'm like, you know what? This is what it takes. And I mean, we have a very good group today. We have, I think, 13 people total, which is amazing, but you can see that the numbers going down as we go in the days, right? And again, life happens, but it's an example of consistency. It's like the people who remain focused and consistent are the ones that are going to actually advance in whatever project or goal they have. It's like going through that cycle, right? It's going through step 1, 2, 3 and coming up against yourself in step 3 and moving forward to step 4. So I am going to start sharing my presentation. Actually, just give me 1 second. I need to shut something off in my computer. Actually, I can't find it. Jackie and I were just talking that I need to close my email, my calendar, all the notifications. And I just heard a beep and I have no idea where it's coming from. So I'm not gonna worry about that. So let me get back to these and share my screen. So I want us to take a couple minutes. Actually, I'm not going to share my screen because Jackie's going to be sharing music. We did intentions for day 1. We didn't do intentions for day 2 because day 2 is an intense day full of content. But today is a little bit lighter. So I want to take a couple minutes for us to do it either way you want to do it. If you want to close your eyes, if you want to keep your eyes open, if you want to put your hands on your chest, whatever works for you. But think about the culmination of 3 days and pat yourself in the back for showing up. I actually asked you to be very proud of yourself on day 1 for being here, because this is time that you're taking for yourself and for your own growth. But making it to day 3 is an accomplishment in itself because life is busy. So pat yourself in the back and think what it is the thing that you want to get out of today. What is your intention for today? And I would love for you to share in the chat. So I'm going to leave it to Jackie to share some music, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. And I can't hear it, Jackie. There we go. So what do you want to leave with today? What is your intention in terms of growth, expansion, joy? Connect with your higher self for just 1 minute and ask, how can I grow from these? How can I expand from these? How much joy can I experience from these? Drop into your heart. All right. Thank you all. Bobby, I hope you got it. It was just, it was simple to just set an intention for today. We set intentions on day one, and I didn't do it yesterday because I wanted to get moving with the content, but today is just the perfect day to close with beautiful intentions. So Christina says she is no video because she's at work. Perfect. And you're going to get the recording, Christina, if you want to listen in your own time. Chelsea says break the mental block. That's a great one. And Chelsea, I'm going to invite you, and I know that you've been very intently listening for the last 3 days, but I'm going to invite you to change the word block and just say that you're open up to the possibilities. And we're going to be talking about language today, so you're going to understand where I'm coming from. And I'm going to share the screen now, and we're just going to get going. Let me know if you can see my screen fine. I think everyone's good with that. It would be good if my slide would transition. There we go. So quick summary of day 2. We talked about the creative cycle. And for those of you who weren't able to join yesterday, if you didn't have the time to listen to the recording, I think the recording went out just a couple hours ago. I'll just speak to it very quickly. 4 stages of the creative cycle. So creative, think about anything that you're creating, whether it's this new business of yours or a hobby, a new adventure, even a trip, anything new that you haven't done before, and it's something that you're going to experience for the first time. The 4 stages are: the first, you feel that excitement of a new idea. And there's a little bit more to it. You'll get that in the recording. Stage 2 of it is taking action on it. So you start the business, you plan the trip, you take the steps necessary to bring this dream into fruition. Step 3 is when you come up against yourself and the old beliefs and behaviors and reactions and all that stuff that's set by our personality and our personal thermostat, right? And 4, the 4th step is when you actually grow from it. When you come up against step 3, but still know how to handle the duality of the good feeling emotions and the bad feeling emotions, and are able to grow and expand from it. So that's really quickly what it was. So step 3, stage 3, is where your power is. This is where it feels like crap. No one likes to be in step 3. We all dread step 3. We try to avoid it, but it's a cycle. It's something that we're always going to be going through in different contexts, and hopefully as we grow, it's going to be easier. However, it's inevitable. It's something that we all go through. So the key is who you become in step 3. The person that you embody in step 3 is the person, is the you, the version of you that is going to help you keep going in your new endeavor. Your personal thermostat, we talked about the addictions of the body. We're addicted to the chemicals that our brain is producing and feeding our body with. And the addictions of the mind is what our mind is addicted to, thinking all the time. So it's the recurring thoughts that we keep contemplating over and over and over. The next one is my favorite because the universe is responding to you. Because we hear a lot about, universe loves clarity. The universe loves you unconditionally. It is you who needs to be clear on the energetic signature that you're sending out there, so that the universe can respond to you. Your energetic signature, it is that person that you are embodying all the time. And we went through the exercise of who are you being in your business? Who are you being in regards to clients? And how do you feel about yourself? Meaning the talents, the gifts, and all the things that you bring to the table. Imposter syndrome, do you feel capable? Do you feel that you're the right person to solve your clients' issues? And the last one was practicing the new rules of the game. So the rules that we wrote on day one, yesterday we reaffirmed that those are the new rules that take precedence right now. And those are the rules that we embody from now on. And that's when focus and consistency take place. If you're not focused on that end vision that you have, and you're not consistent, embodying that person, it's going to be more it's going to take more time and a little bit more effort for you to get there. So let's just get started for today. And you may recognize this slide from yesterday because I had it in there as well, but I thought this was the perfect reminder of how powerful we can be. So your energetic signature is who you are embodying in various aspects of your life. So you don't have an energetic signature for everything that you're doing in life. You have several ones. And that's why some people find that they're great in relationships and love life is perfect and they live in honeymoon stage and yada, yada, and all things are great, but they're probably lacking in the financial aspect of their lives. Business is not great, health is great. So you have all these different energetic signatures depending on the area of your life, and knowing how to start embodying the person that you want to be is going to help you move all of those energetic signatures in the place that you want them to be. So when it comes to business and wealth, your energetic signature is the one that is paving the way for the results that you're getting back, not the amount of action. However, one thing that I do want to say here is that sometimes if you feel that you're too in step 3 and just coming up against yourself and those emotions of fear, doubt, insecurity, taking action helps to move that energy. And I'll give you an example. I know from experience with my clients and from experience with myself that when you start to doubt yourself, maybe you're not good enough for what you're doing. Maybe no one's gonna hire you. Maybe you thought too highly of yourself, like all those doubts that will come into place. And instead of I don't want to say the word plowing or pushing, but instead of moving through those emotions and learning to be more emotional intelligence and learning to actually get to step 4, people freeze. And it's in that freezing that their growth stunt and they can't move forward if they're not doing anything, right? So I am a huge advocate that action is a result of your energetic signature embodiment. But if you're not moving anywhere, if you're feeling frozen, action is going to help you move that energy. So send that email, write that post in your stories, send that promotion, start creating that course so that the energy can move, because energy just needs a little bit that action to move if you're in the frozen state. So I just wanted to say that right there, because messy action is something that I've done many times when I feel that I'm just stuck. So I just think I'm just going to do something and get that energy moving, and then I can get back into my flow with all the with a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today. So 5 key things to practice. Whew. I don't know how many times, and if someone's been counting, let me know. But I don't know how many times I brought up the word awareness, because if you don't practice awareness of self, if you don't practice awareness of who you are, you cannot change who you are, right? It's like trying to boil water. If you don't know that the water isn't boiling, how are you going to get it to boil? And I know that's a stupid example, but that's the first thing that came to mind. It's like you have to know your current state so that you can move on to the next state. That way you can actually create a plan and have a path and be able to move forward. So as I was telling you yesterday, this is one of my best allies. I set reminders on my phone all the time. I have my calendar app telling me stop, and I have a big stop. And one thing that I do too, right now, my reminder is stop. exclamation mark. And that's a reminder for me to drop into my heart and realize, who am I being right now? How am I feeling right now? Do I believe in my dreams? And I just stop for a few seconds. It doesn't even have to be 3 minutes or 5 minutes. But one thing that I do is I change that reminder often. I move the times and I change the stop to something else, because your mind gets habituated to it. And it's very easy to say, ignore, let me keep doing what I'm doing and not do the thing that you want to do. So when you keep changing the sequence of it, your mind is going to be having to pay attention to it, because it's something new. It's not just the same thing that it's been seeing for the last month or two. So changing it up is pretty good. So I'm going to walk you through, we're going to spend most of the time on this slide today. I'm going to walk you through the 5 very simple practices that I do and that I teach my clients to do, and we go way more in depth when we're working with the clients. But honestly, there's not much to it, and you're going to find the simplicity of it when I explain to you. So my intention for today is for you to leave this workshop thinking, is she actually serious? Like, is she fucking for real? Is this simple? Because it is. So I want you to get back to these practices day in and day out, and in about 90 days, you're going to see tremendous changes, not only in the way that you feel, but in the way that life is responding to you. So my first one is your energetic signature. In other words, who do you want to be? What do you desire? And why do you want it? And this is very important. And I want to note here that you would not, I want you to really listen to this, because this was life-changing for me. You do not have the capacity to have a desire that the universe cannot give to you. I'm going to say that one more time. You do not have the capacity or the ability to have a desire that the universe cannot give to you. What that means is, if you have a desire, there is a way. There's always a way. And that's a huge reminder in this work, because once you desire something, you know that anything else in between you and that desire is what you're thinking, what you're believing, and the way that you're reacting to it. So that's very important to note in there. So you have the power to shift into your ideal version of self at any time. You are free to decide who you are becoming at any time. So it's now the time to wake up from the conditioning that you were exposed to and design your life. You can design the next version of you that you want to be. So the one version that you want to bring up in business, what is it? Is it this confident business person that you want to be? Is the courageous person that is not going to let the fear stop? What is it? So one thing that I suggest here is that you take some time to decide who it is that you want to be. And this is very similar to day one when we wrote the rules. It's like, who do you the rules as to money loves me, I am desired by money, we're besties, whatever rules you wrote about money, it is the time now to write the rules about yourself. What traits are you bringing to your business? And one thing that I suggest that you do, and I do it all the time, is choose mentors. So see outside of your field of awareness right now, who is doing something that you would like to do as well? Who is embodying a characteristic that you would like to have as well? So in my case, I look up to Dr. Joe Dispenza. I think I've mentioned him before. I've been to a couple of his retreats before COVID, and they are life-changing. So I love having him as an example of what's possible. And I have a couple other people. Amanda Francis actually is a fantastic person. She actually coaches females more than, actually, I don't think she coaches any males, but she's amazing. And I love following her on social media because she has made millions out of just coaching other people and helping people become a better version of themselves. So choose some mentors that you want, and it doesn't have to be someone that you know. It could be like, I don't know Amanda Francis in person, but I love following her because she's an example of what's possible. And if you read her story, it's just fascinating to see how she came to be the person that she is to be. And it's mostly by applying spiritual principles. That's it. So when you do that, you have something, you have a compass to keep moving towards. The why is very important as well, because the why is your fuel. The why is going to be the emotional reason that keeps you in your toes. So this is a journal prompt that I would love for you to take a few minutes, not now, but after the workshop, to fill out. So what does the abundant version of you feel? How does she or he feel? What does he or she think? How does he or she act? And this is very important, because when you have that definition, that's going to be your clarity to know who it is that you're embodying, especially when you get to, again, you guys are going to laugh at my grocery store examples. You get to the grocery store and you grab that box of cereal that is too expensive. And in that moment, when you feel the tug in your belly, you remind yourself, how does the abundant version of me feel about this $12 box of cereal? Will she fret about it? Will she complain about it? She probably buys it. And that doesn't mean that you have to buy it, but it means that you can change your energetic signature about how you feel about the price of an item. And that's something that I work on myself all the time. There was one time recently, I think a couple of months ago, that I walked into a Best Buy and I wasn't even buying anything. I think I was actually kind of like bringing like that recycling electronic bin that they have. And I think that's what I was doing. And I decided to walk in the store, and I happened to be walking by like the expensive, super like huge screen computers that are absolutely beautiful. And I felt that pull in my tummy that is like, holy fuck, I don't know if I can afford these, because it was like $5,000-$6,000 computers. And then I thought, the hell am I telling myself? And it was a perfect exercise because I wasn't buying anything. So I wasn't really emotionally invested in it, except for my reaction to it. So what I decided to do was like, what does the abundant version of me feel? How does she act around these prices? And I actually felt that my spine got straight, and I, put my chin up. And as my girls in the group will understand, tits up, man. And I was just like confident walking through it, thinking, I can afford all this shit. And the vibration changed immediately. And that helped that I wasn't buying anything. So there was no pressure for me to take out my credit card and do something. But I embodied that version right there and then. So that's very important for you to define who it is that you want to embody. The second one is my favorite one. And it's the simplest one, and at the same time, the most challenging one. Mental hygiene. And that's when I was telling Chelsea to please find another word to describe how she's feeling about her blocks. Not because there's anything wrong about a word. A word is just a word. And the energy or meaning that you give a word is just that, the energy and meaning that you give to the word. That's all there is to it. But there are words that are energetically charged, because we all have accepted that they have a meaning, right? So when you change the vocabulary that you're using, when you change the energy behind your words, it's going to change tremendously. It's going to change your reticular activation system tremendously, and it's going to help you change your addiction that your mind has to thinking certain thoughts. So think about this, and this is one of my favorite ones, because it's changed so much for me. It is ridiculous. I mean, I am someone that I meditate about an hour a day. I do breath work. I do all the things. Like I have my alarms, and I stop during the day to do my practices. And I'm very, very diligent and consistent with the work that I do. And I do it out of joy. But honestly, guys, changing my mental hygiene is the thing that has changed the most in my life for me. So think about this. Most times you're narrating to yourself what's happening around you. I'm going to say that one more time. You are narrating to yourself what's happening around you and how you feel about what's happening. So if you're driving your car and someone cuts you off in traffic, you go, what an asshole, he just cut me off in traffic. Why do people drive like that? Is he an idiot? Is he like that? And you're narrating those things to yourself instead of deciding what you want to think. The thoughts come as a reaction of the event that just happened, rather than I am going to choose how I think about that. And that doesn't mean that you're just going to get out of your car and hug that person and love them to death. But that means that you can choose to either give your attention to that, or choose to send compassion to that person because they don't know any better, and choose the state of being that you want to embody, choose the energetic signature that you want to embody. So when you're observing what's happening, instead of giving your attention to what you want happening, you fall back into the unconsciousness of the old self, and you give into the addictions that you've been practicing for years and years and years. Because, and sometimes we just excuse it with the words, well, that's who I am, and well, I don't know any better, and that's just who I am. But who you are is changeable. And the more that you set your intention and apply consistency to this, the more that you're going to see the actual changes. So in other words, we tend to go through our days very unconsciously. But when you start to practice the awareness, you realize what you're doing and what you're saying to yourself. So for each one of these points, I'm going to give you my personal practice, and you take it or leave it, and you decide if this is going to work for you, or if you need to modify from what I'm sharing with you to make it work for you. So in number one, I told you that I have certain mentors that I have in my radar, and I know that character traits I want to embody from their own. For number two, super simple how I started, and it's evolved to a point that is more automatic for me to go into the mental chatter that I want to consider, but it was a challenge at the beginning. So the first thing that I started doing is talking to myself in a very loving and compassionate way when I was brushing my teeth every day. And this is something that I still do. If I brush my teeth, I know there's a lot of talk about toothbrushing in the last 3 days, but just telling you my examples. So toothbrushing, what is it with toothbrushing and me? I have an electric toothbrush, and my electric toothbrush goes for 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes it shuts off. So I am very intentional that for those 2 minutes, I look at myself in the mirror and I talk to myself in the most loving, compassionate way that I can. Remember when we were talking about reparenting ourselves on day one? That's a way. So you say to yourself all the beautiful things that, whether you heard them or not from authoritative figures when you were growing up, you still say them to yourself because you want to love yourself more. So during those 2 minutes of my brushing my teeth, I say to myself, you're amazing, Isabel. You're one of the smartest people I know. You're so compassionate. People stop and look at you when you enter a room because you're so magnetic. You're such a goddess. You're a fucking queen. You deserve to be treated like a queen. You know what? That might sound like the biggest douchebaggery ever, or like the most arrogant statements ever. I don't give a fuck. I am in the privacy of my own bathroom. No one's looking at me. I am feeding myself with the words that I want to be fed. I am feeding my soul with the things that I know are true for me. You know, I am deserving. I am loving. I am all the things that you want to be, and you create your own script. I'm just giving you ideas of what I do. So that's how I started. And it was easy for me to remember because one, I'm looking at myself in the mirror. Second, I have my toothbrush. It's like, what else do I do? Just talk to myself nicely. But then it evolved to the point that I'm like, I'm going to start using little moments where I have nothing else to do this practice. So I'm a vegetarian, and when I chop my vegetables to steam them or cook them or whatever, I make a point that if I am chopping vegetables, I have nothing else to do, I do the same thing. And sometimes it varies from saying affirmations to myself to telling a whole story about what's happening. So I just if I'm chopping a freaking sweet potato, I just start talking to myself and just say, I am very grateful for the way my life is going. I am so grateful for the new clients that are coming into my world. I am grateful for the amazing relationship that I have with my husband. I am so grateful for all the things that I am creating. When you start doing that, you actually start feeling your heart expanding. And the more that your heart expands, the more that your heart is going to get used to having that feeling of expansion. It's going to start happening more and more. On day one, I talked to you guys about my heartgasms. Like my heart sometimes just gets into a state of joy on its own for no apparent reason. And it's just because I've been practicing this. So it's like turning my addictions around. Instead of feeling frustrated most of the time, I still feel frustrated because I'm human. But some of the time my heart goes into like, oh my God, my life is beautiful. I need to appreciate this and stop for 1 second and just be grateful about this. So that's my practice for number two. So by number three, I want you to remember that you are the creator You are the person that is at the center of everything that is happening with you. You are the God and the goddess that is creating your reality. So remind yourself of who you are. And what I do here is I ask myself two basic questions. In any time that I feel any type of resistance, any type of step 3 moment where my fears, doubts, and insecurities are coming up, I just ask myself two questions. The first one is, do I believe that I am creating my reality with my thoughts? The answer to that for me is always yes. And if the answer for you is no, that's completely okay. But I want you to know that you have more power of influence over your life than you give yourself credit for. So my first question is, I repeat, do I believe that I am creating my reality with my thoughts? Because my answer is always yes. My next question is, then is what I'm thinking right now supporting the reality that I want to create? And that, guys, snaps me out of any mood that I might be in. That doesn't mean that I'm going to go from frustration to joy in a minute, but it startles me in a way that I go, fuck, what am I thinking right now? Let me think something different and start like that process of, let me reparent myself. Let me get back into a place that I am more myself. And that doesn't mean that I dismiss my emotions or that I avoid them. That means that I'm still honoring them, but knowing that I have a choice, knowing that I can ascend to feel something different and to think something different. So that's what I do. My basic questions, I'm going to say them one more time. Do I believe that I am creating my reality with my thoughts? And the second one is, then do I believe that what I'm thinking right now is helping me create the reality that I want? And if you want to add a third one there, it's like, well, what thoughts would be conducive to my growth and the creation of the reality that I want? And start acknowledging those thoughts that come in right there. Now, I'm going to check the chat really quickly because I don't know if you guys have any questions. I know that there are some comments in there since I last checked. Oh, Jackie, you posted Dr. Josie Spencer's site. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What would you say to the sentence, I want more money? So it kind of depends. And if you ask this question to different people, they're going to give you different answers. And this is my take on it, Anna. And that's a fantastic question because it depends on the energy that you put behind it, right? If you go by the very literal sense of it, you are acknowledging that you don't have enough. Right? It's like, I want more money. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you don't have enough? Or do you mean that you have enough and you want more? So it's kind of redefining the energy that you have behind that, right? So instead of saying, I want more money, I would look at my bank account and be absolutely grateful for what's in there. Let me just get a jug of water. Be absolutely grateful for what you have in your bank account, whether that's $20, $200, $200,000, $2 million, whatever that is. Be grateful for that you can see and know that there's more that is available to you. So instead of wanting more money, you can say to yourself, slightly change the frequency of that and say, I want to allow more money in my experience. You're saying the same thing, but the vibration is just like, you might have enough, but you want more into your life. For some people, for example, that I want more money, mine means I am so grateful for what I have that I just want more. So it's not just about the words themselves, it's about the energy that you have behind them. And that's why I tell you that a lot of people might have different takes on it, because some people might say, no, it just means that, you know, you're acknowledging that you don't have any and you're in that frequency of lack and you're not open to the possibilities, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. There's a lot of I wants that I have during my meditation, but because I know what energy I'm putting them in, I'm completely comfortable with them. So I hope that answers your question. Let me know. And Jackie wrote, when I feel dread, Jackie just wrote the questions. Fireheart says, when I feel dread in my stomach, I use affirmations. That is a very good way to actually soothe yourself. They don't work for everybody, and it kind of depends if you let yourself go to deep into the pit. It might take you a little bit of more effort to use affirmations for that, but they're fantastic if you have that awareness and catch yourself before you actually go too deep. You're welcome, Anna. All right. So did I talk about step 4? I don't think I did. I think I just switched to it. Okay, so this is one of the practices that you will hear most spiritual coaches and spiritual gurus talk about. And it is a very powerful one, and I use it all the time. However, my ultimate favorite is the mental hygiene, because for my mental hygiene, I don't need to take a break. I don't need to close my eyes. I don't need to do anything. I do it at the grocery store when I'm in line waiting to pay. Grocery store is my favorite place for growth when it comes to money, because it's full of triggers, and triggers are just opportunities for growth. But number 4 is what you will hear a lot of people talking about. And I don't like calling it visualization, because a lot of people have a hard time with that. Like they can't see images in the mind, but it's basically living in the end. So for the practice number 4 and the practice number 1 go hand in hand, because your number 1 is your end picture, right? It's like, who do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to have? What do you desire and why do you want it? You're painting your final picture of where you want to go to. And that picture might change with time, but you have to start with something. Or it's not that you have to. You want to have that clarity of where you're moving to towards, right? It's like going to California. Which way did you go? Exercise from day 1. Right? So when you have that clear picture of number 1, your number 4 practice is go and live in it. Close your eyes for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you have availability for, and milk that shit. Just go into that picture and create such a emotional resonance with that when you're opening your eyes, you're like, man, that wasn't real. But I was in it and it felt so good. So you're doing that not because the images are going to create. Everything in your life is already created. You just need to access it. It's already there for you. But you want those images in your mind, or the sounds or the words or whatever does it for you to live in the end, to generate that emotional response. Remember, this work is about training your body to feel different, training your mind to think different. So if you're doing this practice, you're basically telling your body, this is how I want to feel. So I don't need to be there to feel that way. I just need to think about it right now and know that it's accessible to me. One thing that I want you to remember is the feeling is your first manifestation of it. If you know how you want to feel when something is yours already, you are already way more advanced than the average person in this world. Because ultimately, everything that we want is because we want to feel a certain way. So if you are able to generate that feeling, you are already there. You're already in it. So one thing that I wanna make a point here is that if you've never done a practice like that, you might have that resistance of, but how is that going to happen? But I don't think that's possible. But it's never happened to anybody. But it's not going to happen. Like all the bullshit that we went through on the worksheet on day 1, all your beliefs about money or your beliefs about anything else, they might come to play. So usually what I do is right when I'm closing my eyes, I tell myself for the next 5-10 minutes, anything that happens in my imagination is possible. And I make a point to come back to that childlike attitude. You know, when you were used to play house or doctor or farmer or firefighter or whatever you wanted to be when you were a child, that you weren't thinking, I don't know how it's going to happen. I mean, I don't have enough money to go to firefighter school or whatever the hell. So just get back into that playful attitude of like, for the next few minutes, everything is possible in the realms of my imagination. And that really helps because you're kind of saying, I'm just playing right now. I'm just playing with it. I'm not trying to manifest it. I'm not trying to create. I'm not trying to show the universe that I'm doing my homework. That's not what you're doing. You're just self-pleasuring. That is one of the healthiest practices that you can do. And it's actually very good for your health because your heart gets into a state of coherence and you're eliminating any stress that you might have in your life. So that's a favorite practice of mine as well. Actually, the 5 that I'm showing you today are my ultimate things that have changed my life. However, you do need the time. You cannot just like, be driving and closing your eyes and doing things. For that, the mental hygiene part. But it is very, very effective, because when you close your eyes, you're actually shutting down the logical part of your brain a little bit, and you might get into the alpha brain waves and then eventually theta brain waves, and you stay long enough and you go deep enough. And that's going to help you actually reprogram your brain and create new neural pathways. And I mean, there's a plethora of scientific studies out there to see how your brain is actually neuroplastic, and you can actually change it. If you're talking about 100 years ago, people thought that your brain was what it was and there was nothing to do about it. But now we know that the brain is changeable, and we can actually do it in a very easy way. And let me know if you have any questions, but I'm going to move on to number 5. So the compound effect. Persistence, consistency, and focus are key to create any habit. Just remember what I was saying at the beginning when Myla joined, that she said, I'm going to take their course, I'm going to finish it, and she did it. And I'm not pointing fingers, but you have to have the consistency to do it. Just imagine that you get on a bike, you're 7, and you're trying to learn to ride the bike. And the first day you fall and you go, fuck that shit, riding a bike is not for me, never getting on a bike again, and you give up. Like, what a disservice are you doing to yourself by not giving yourself the opportunity to learn something new and create a new habit? Teach your muscles how to grab the handles, teach your feet how to place themselves on the pedals, teach your awareness to be looking in the different spots that you want to go. It's just practice, like anything else, like brushing your teeth with the left hand, like thinking a different thought. It's all practice. So when you don't have the focus and the consistency, is it possible to create something different? Absolutely it is, but it's going to take you longer. But when you have the consistency, you're showing yourself self-responsibility, radical responsibility, and a tremendous amount of self-love that is going to get you way farther than anything else. So those are my 5, I want to call them the Bible for me, because I am very, very consistent with this work that I do. And I know that this can make a tremendous difference in anyone that has the focus and consistency to go through this. And again, guys, I guarantee if you go through this for 90 days, please email me and message me and let me know the changes that you've noticed, because that's all it takes. And I was saying on day 1, 21 days to create a habit. In my books, that's bullshit. You might get habituated to doing something differently, but that's not enough to solidify a habit. Unfortunately, we are humans and shit happens, and it's not as easy as just 21 days. So I want to switch gears a little bit and just go into telling you what's necessary. So when you work on retraining your mind and body with the consistency that you need, you're going to create a life that is led by desire. And you're going to create it by design, because it is something that you know that is what you want. It's not just you reacting and responding to life. It is you dictating how you want to feel about life. And I love the example of Michael Phelps. And I just kind of like, when I get on a rant with examples, I just kind of go with the same example for ever and ever and ever. And Michael Phelps is one of my favorites, because I think often, if you want to be a gold medalist, what do you do? What do you do? You train every single day, right? Maybe you take a break here or there, but you have specific diet that you follow. You have specific training that you follow. You have a specific focusing exercise that you follow, and you're consistent with that. So a few years ago, 2018, 2019, 18, I can't remember, 19, I decided that I was going to make my life the most extraordinary masterpiece that I could imagine. And I also committed to being one of the happiest people I know. And that is one of my biggest fuels that I have. And I mean, Is my life extraordinary by everyone's measure? Maybe not. But for me, for my own metric system, it is. If I think about where I started, coming to Canada as an immigrant, being on welfare, not knowing anything about the spiritual work that I needed to do, and being where I am, that my life is in a state of peace. When I was sharing with you yesterday that I was stressed about day one, but I still felt that peace and that calmness in my mind, even though my body was going through the emotions of stress and anxiety. And that's what I want for everybody, that you're so emotional intelligence that even when you're going through the step threes and the ups and downs of life, you're able to close your eye and say, I'm still happy. Like, I'm not gonna let this stress rule my life. I still feel the calmness and the peace in my heart. But you can only achieve that if you commit yourself to this work and make it a practice that you know is going to change your life. There's nothing else to it. So what I want to do now is I introduced to you all my mastermind that I'm reopening in the next couple of weeks. I told you what it was, but I have a very, very special guest with us today, and it is my dear friend and client, Abdul. So I invited Abdul because I can tell you all the bullshit that I want, and it's up to you to believe me or not, right? But I love having clients come to my workshops because they're going to tell you firsthand experience how it is to work with me and what it is like to be a part of the Master Heart. Abdul is actually an exceptional case because he was my private client as well, but he was part of the mastermind. So he kind of had the best of both worlds, let's call it like that. But Abdul actually stayed in the Master Heart. And Abdul, you're gonna probably correct me, but I think you stayed 5 or 6 months in it. I can't remember exactly, but I'm just gonna turn it to you. And I would love for you to just have a conversation with us and just let everyone know what it's like to be a part of the mastermind and your experience and your own transformation. Because I mean, besides any of the work that I could have helped you with, your transformation is just nothing short of remarkable.
Well, hello, first of all, I'm Abdul. I worked with Isabel. Isabel's great. I don't know. Everything that she just said is 100% real, right? And the only way you're going to know that if you do any of the work for yourself. But it's real. It's so true. And when you literally embody all of that, you know without a doubt that you can have everything that you want. There's nothing that you can't have, right? And you just feel so powerful, right? Like if you want money, it's like you just snap your fingers and you're like, okay, I want money for my business, boom, and then it just shows up, right? You're like, when I was working with Isabel as a college student, I still am a college student, but I wanted to have like all A's, right? And it's been incredibly easy to get a 4.0, right? It's like when you do the work and you apply it to your life and you believe it and you take yourself seriously, right? Like literally everything is possible for you. But when I was working specifically with Isabel, Isabel has this tendency to just make things easy, right? It's just like, all right, remember what I told you? Okay, so there was this one experience, right, while she was talking through the workshop, I was thinking, I was like, what did like Isabel specifically help me with? When was like my worst, like my lowest point, right? And I remember it was like the third week of the semester, and then my car just started like fucking up, right? Like my coolant my coolant was leaking, and then just like I was driving from one campus to the other, and just midway just stopped working. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's happening? And I was like, man, I don't know if I have enough money for this. I don't know what's going on. And then I had to pay this tower guy to like take me 20 miles somewhere, and like, you know, the towing companies don't mess around. And so that was like a lot of money. And then I was talking to the guy, and he was like, all right, it's going to be like 600 to fix it. I was like, Jesus, man, I don't know. I don't know if I have this. I don't know if I can do it. And I felt so restricted. And I was just talking to Isabel, and she was just like, the two questions that she asked earlier, when she was like, okay, what was it? All my thoughts create my reality.
You believe
right?
that you create your reality.
Yeah, I believe that reality. And if that's a yes, it's like, do all of these thoughts support the life that I want? And you just like you literally ask yourself those questions. And if the first answer is yes, Well, then the second answer, if that's a no, it's 100% up to you to think something different, right? And that just makes things so easy. And it's like, no matter how you feel, you're like, okay. My body's freaking out, but it's okay. None of these thoughts are supporting me. What do I want to think? And then you just choose what you want to think. And it's not going to make you feel better, right? Like right away, like she was saying, but it's like, it just shows you that you have power, right? And you're like, okay, although I don't feel good, these are my decisions, right? And then you start to make choices. You start to take responsibility for your life. And then, I mean, I fixed my car, number one. I had more than enough money. But then here's where it gets interesting. Then like a couple weeks later, my tire, like the rim cracked. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? And then I have to go taking this like another $100 an hour. Like, Jesus Christ. And then like a couple weeks later, my brakes stopped working. And so I have to replace my brakes. I'm like, shit, I don't have money for all of this. And I'm talking to Isabel through all this, and she's like, the same questions, right? It's like different experiences, but the same questions. And then you just apply it over and over and over again. And then things just magically work out. It's almost stupid. It's just so dumb. Like all the different coincidences that'll happen when you just align yourself energetically. And the one regret that I do have is just like I didn't talk to Isabel enough, right? Like when you meet like a coach or somebody who just like isn't is they're just like at a higher place, like conscious wise and just like in life, you should talk to that person as much as you can. Even if you have like the littlest, tiniest problem, don't ever feel like you can't talk to your coach or the person that's like at a better place or at a place that you want to be in life, right? That's like my only regret is just I didn't talk to her enough because she's fucking awesome. So there's another experience too. So in the summer, right, I wanted to buy a pair of glasses. And this is so dumb. This is so dumb. I had a job, so I was making enough money, but it was just like I wanted these pair of glasses. And like my insurance only covers like this type of glasses, right? It's like you can only get these with your insurance. If you want any other types of glasses, you're gonna have to pay for them. And I was like, fuck, I found these really cool glasses and they were $200. I was like, Jesus, Isabel, I don't know if I can buy these glasses. She's like, what? What do you mean? I was like, they're just too expensive. My insurance only covers this much and I have to pay 200 when I can just get something for free. And she was like, Abdul, what do you want? I was like, Isabel, I want the glasses. She's like, why can't you have the glasses? I was like, they're too expensive. And then she was like, what? What do you like? It's like you have the money, you can buy the glasses that you want. It's like, why won't you allow yourself to have what you want? And then she just helped me realize that it's not about money, right? A lot of times we're like, fuck, I don't have enough money for this. I don't know if I can do this. But the actual problem is you're not allowing yourself to have the thing that you want. And I was just like, oh my God, Isabel, what? And it's just like, you'll just have so many just like mind-blowing conversations. And it's like your life will get dramatically easier and you'll just be in the center of it. And everything becomes like going to the fridge and then just getting like whatever you want from the fridge, right? Like you want money, you just walk to the fridge. I don't know who put money in the fridge, but like just for the sake of this example. So you just go to the fridge, you just grab what you want, and then you go back to the couch and you sit down, right? Life becomes that fucking easy. I hope I didn't ramble, but yeah, Isabel's awesome, bottom line.
I love you. Checks in the mail, by the way. Kidding, but no, I mean, honestly, it's that life becomes that easier. And I don't want to sugarcoat or bullshit anybody, but there's going to be, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. There will be ups and there will be downs, right? There will be the times that your car breaks down, like Chelsea just put in the chat. Same thing happened to her. Like shit happens. Like I think it was last November. I had water in the basement, and the water in the basement ended up being like I can't even remember, $10,000-$15,000 in expenses. And I'm like, why is this happening right now? And it's like so many things that can go wrong, right? But it is up to you to level up who you are and see things in a different light, right? It's like, so if I make $15,000, that's good, but if I have to get it out of my bank account, that's bad. Why? There's a flow to life and more will come. And the more that I program myself to know that every time that I spend comes multiplied to me by 10 times or whatever you want your rule to be, that's what it is. You set the pace, you set the tone, you are the creator. And I mean, Abdul and I worked for a while because he was my private client and he was a part of the mastermind, and the mastermind was a longer term thing. And he just, he just told you a couple of stories that were like the tip of the iceberg, but the magic that happened in his life was just astounding. And I mean, the only thing that I did was guide him, because I can't do the work for you. I cannot do the work for my clients. You have to take that radical responsibility and do it for yourself, right? But Abdul had, like, I actually thought that Abdul was going to tell this story where we were talking about money can come from any place. And when we were talking about clients yesterday, I made the point to say clients are not a symbol of money. Clients are for your fulfillment and the impact that you can make in your life. Money can come from anywhere. And there's one time that Abdul messaged me and he had a summer job. No, I don't know if it was a summer job. You had the job at the hotel, and he messaged me saying someone just gave me a $100 tip. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, who tips $100? So it's just the flow in which things started to come to him was just unbelievable. And that is the way that it can happen for anybody. And one of the things that, I mean, besides the fact that I love all my clients, one of the things that I love about Abdul is that he's kept in touch with me. Like, he messages me every couple months to be like, hey, things are great, yada, yada. And I think the last message that he sent me is like, he continues to get money out of ridiculous places. And I love that, because that's the way that it's supposed to be, in flow, in joy, in happiness, and all those wonderful things. So I think I only have one more slide. So I'm just going to share quickly, and I'll let you guys continue with the rest of your day. Yeah, but the last thing that I just want to say is that you can you do this on your own? Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. You have the power within you. You don't need a coach. You don't need a mentor. You don't need anyone. You only, and this is whether you decide to work with me or not, you want to work with someone out of desire, not out of need, not out of this person is going to fix me, not out of she knows something that I don't, not out of victimizing yourself and putting yourself down. You do it because you know that this person is going to help you expand and grow and live a life of joy. The minute that you think I need to hire this person and work with her or him because they can fix me or they are the solution to my problem, you're failing. So I'm going to invite you to think, and this is not just about me, but anyone that you decide to hire and work with in a mentorship or coaching capacity. Is it a pure desire? Do you actually desire to work with this person? Do you like their style? Do you gel with them? Do you like that they swear a lot and talk about toothbrushes all the time? Whatever the hell, right? Whatever the case, it's just that this has to come from a desire. So you can do it on your own. But one of the reasons why I teach what I teach is because I was so fed up and tired of listening to the gurus and reading the books about how to raise your vibration and how easy it is and da-da-da. But no one was giving me a how. No one was giving me the 5 practices that I just laid out for you. Everyone just talks about raising your vibration and doing the work. But what is the work? What is required on my part to do it? So I set out myself to find out what it was that was going to work for me. And when I found it, I decided this is something that I want to teach to other people, because as easy, as simplistic as it is, your thermostat is always going to bring you back to your old self. And having that accountability person, having that person that is your third party observing you saying, are you really thinking that? Do you really want to go there? Do you really want to do that? To me, that's priceless. So my calendar link is in the chat and you have it in front of you as well. As I said, I'm reopening the mastermind. It is a beautiful space. I mean, I love having private clients, but having a group program is something that is so absolutely powerful, because you're not just coming from my own experience. You're just not asking the questions that are coming to you. you're enriching yourself from what everyone else is sharing and their own experience. So it's like, in a way, we're all coaching each other and keeping each other accountable for what's happening. So I've mentioned it before, I don't chase people. So when Abdul was saying that he probably thinks that he should have contacted me more, I don't chase people. We are all grown adults, and we know that if I'm hiring a coach, I'm going all in, and I am trusting that if you're not contacting me, you're in a good space. If I haven't heard from you for a couple of weeks, I'll probably message you and say, hey, are you alive? What's going on? But self-accountability and self-responsibility is crucial in this work. So in me, you'll have a partner that is going to cheer you up and go with you all the way, but you have to do the work, because the work nobody else can do for you. So I'm going to be there in every step of your path, guiding you, teaching you, making you aware. That's the number one thing, of your blind spots that you can probably see, because they're your blind spots. And I'm going to guarantee that you're moving in the right direction and that you find the way that this work is going to work for you. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to stop sharing. And I didn't go over that much today, so I am happy about that. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm just going to stop here right now to see if anyone has any questions. And if not, I'm going to send you all my love. And thank you so much for being a part of my life. This is my dream. And I could do these workshops and these talks forever and ever and ever, because I absolutely love them. And I hope that shows. And I'm so excited that you're a part of my life. And if there's anything that I can help you and serve you with, by all means, let me know. And I don't think there are any questions, so absolutely, Christina, go right ahead. I think that you have my email, because you might have been getting my reminders for the workshop, so feel free. I might take a couple of days, because these last 3 days have been pretty busy, but I do respond to all of my emails personally, so you'll hear from me. I love you all, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.